Hello, movie patient, and welcome to Film Therapy. I am Brienne, also known as Miss Movies, also known as your film therapist. I'm not a real therapist, but I play one on the internet just for this show. And as with every session of film therapy, I have a guest patient. And my guest patient today is finally Jen Sterger. I say finally because this is the third time we've tried to put this together. Third time.
We just kept getting thwarted by our lives. But I'm
Yeah.
really glad this happened today because I need to refill my prescription.
I feel like the first time it happened, it was that you had an issue, and then it was me that had the issue the next time. And I'm like, this time
This
it's got to
time it's gonna
happen.
work.
It's
It's
gonna
gotta
work.
work or it's just not meant
Hmm.
to be.
It's right.
And here
That's
we
right.
are.
Here we are. If you have never joined us for film therapy, I know Laura has, and so has Elise. And thank you for joining us. If you have never joined us for film therapy, here's how it works. I'm going to ask Jen three questions, the same three questions about film every single time. What is a film that inspires you? What is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy. And what is a film that helps you through difficult times? Those are the questions.
Awesome. Let's
And
do
so
this.
we're going to do that. But first, let's get to know Jen better. Who are you? What are you all about? I mean, I know who you are, but we want to tell
Oh
those
God.
people just in case they don't know. Most likely they do,
I
but you
was a
never know.
I was a sports announcer for 8 years. I was a television host for longer than I can count. I've done some acting. I've done a lot of stand-up comedy. I do comedy writing. So I'm kind of all across. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes. Master of Nuns are our favorites
Yes,
because they do everything.
we do.
Hmm.
And we do it to a reasonable standard. We may not be like, the best of the best, but we're getting by.
Getting by. That's all you can do
That's
is
all
get
I do in my
by.
life is just get by.
And you work for a nonprofit.
I do. I do work for a nonprofit. I work for a rescue called Care Rescue LA, and I got to tell you, nonprofit is exactly what it says. You don't make any money off of it.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but the work I do with it is just so important to me that it makes it
Hmm.
all worth it at the end of the day.
And what do you do specifically?
I
Like,
save
what's your day to day?
Oh my god, my day to day.
I
My
mean, it
day to
varies,
day
but like, give us
honestly
an
is waking
example.
up and seeing whatever fire is on my phone that I've got to put out when I wake up in the morning.
That sounds pretty typical of
Yeah.
life.
It's I'm assuming it's like parenting, but like they all have fur on them. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's like
Hmm.
what emergency is going to pop up today? Let's find out.
Yes.
And that's not even like talking about my professional life. That's literally just the stuff that I don't get paid for that I have to handle. So
Well, we're
you were
thankful that
thinking
you.
getting a nonprofit, were you? So, like, good
I
for
know.
you.
I know. That would be like for myself. Like I would be dating nonprofit. So that's
Absolutely.
a little different because then I call the shots and I already know I'm not making anything. So I'm just like,
Exactly.
well, that's how it goes.
She can't complain because she's her own boss. It's
And I think
perfect.
I would be the only employee. That's the thing. Like I don't
Yeah.
think I'd be hiring
It
anyone.
always
So,
starts that way, but then as
oh,
it gets
as it
bigger, you end
builds.
up needing help, and you also find wonderful
Mm.
people that are willing to share your interest and have the same passion as you and want to help out. So that's always
Well,
great.
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Hmm.
Yes, those people will pop up. Just watch.
All right. And maybe you want their help and maybe you don't. Is that where it comes
Exactly.
up?
Exactly.
Okay.
You're like,
Okay.
no,
You
I'm
never
good.
know. Right. Right. All right. Let's get into our first question,
Okay.
which is what is a film that inspires you?
Oh, what is a film that inspires me? You know, I it's so dumb, but this movie came out a few years ago and I was just in the right place in my life where I'd just been through a really crappy PR scenario that I had to go
Hmm.
through and I felt like people were judging me based on it and had preconceived notions about me based on it. And I was just in a really rough place in my life. And then this movie came out about lovable bad guys. It's called
Hmm.
Wreck It Ralph.
Yes, Wreck It Ralph.
Wreck It Ralph. I absolutely adore Wreck It Ralph. Because especially because there was a line he said in there that just resonated so much with me. It's like, just because you're a bad guy does not mean you're a bad guy, you know? Or when when he's trying to save his friend, later in the movie and he says, I'm bad and that's good, and I'll never be good and that's okay.
Aw, that's
And
kind of
I'm like, I
cute.
still get worked up over it because I just always felt like I was judged really unfairly, for things that I'd gone through. And it just resonated with me so much that you know what? I was like, you know what? It's fine. Like, I'm okay with myself, and I know that I do good for people. And I just
Yes.
had to remind myself that. I think that's why my nonprofit work means so much to me, is that it's a way of kind of blocking out that stuff and focusing my energy on something else instead of
Mm.
myself, because I feel like we get so wrapped up in how everyone else is thinking about us, when in reality a lot of people don't care. And the ones that do care either love you or hate you, and you're never going to make all of them happy. So just I just really fell in love with Ralph, and I fell in love with Vanellope,
Mhm.
so much so that Cody and I were actually Wreck-It Ralph and Vanellope for Halloween a couple years ago, and it was
And in a
so
parade?
and in a parade, yeah.
Okay.
We were the grand marshals in a parade, and it was so fun, and it was so cool seeing the kids react to us.
Right.
And they were like, "You're my favorite Disney characters," and I'm like, "That Disney doesn't even acknowledge in their parks, but it's okay."
One day
One day it'll
we will get
happen. It'll
there.
happen.
We will get there. Do you feel that you're judged that way still
Oh
unfairly?
yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. Because I just think that people hear whatever narrative of the story that they want to believe, you
Mm.
know?
Mhm.
And especially when it's something public, they'll hear like bits and pieces of a story and they'll never follow up, because the way the news cycle works now, where it's just
Right.
like they'll
So
catch this
fast.
piece and it's gone. And then like 3 weeks later, they'll come back, hey, remember that thing that you cared about 3 weeks ago that you're probably
Mhm.
too busy to remember now? Something else happened with it that actually makes the other person look really bad, like, so no one it's the way the news cycle works now. No one follows a story all the way to completion. We kind of get these little
Right.
bits and snippets, and we live in it in a social media world where it's just like constantly changing. So it's like, I feel now when people are in political crises, or when they're in PR debates, it's like, just wait a few hours and wait for someone else to mess up worse than you, or just to change the entire story or the narrative of what's happening in the day.
Mm.
Yeah.
The social media wave of
Mhm.
information is
It's crazy.
insane, and the fact how much we know, like all the information that we know about things like things you would never hear about, like
Yeah.
local violence or something like that in a small town somewhere else. Now we're hearing about it all over the world, and it's like, is it really this bad all the time everywhere?
Yeah, and it's overwhelming, I think, when you're looking at it. When you spend as much time on social media as we do for, our careers, that you're just like, wow, is the world really this bad?
Mhm.
And so that's why, I mean, coming back to Wreck-It Ralph, like, that's still just my, yeah, it's like things are bad, but we can make the best out of them.
We can't make the best out of them. You can't back it off. You're a good point about it not being in the Disney parks.
They don't
Why
even
isn't
acknowledge it.
there?
Like, sometimes I've seen they had like a Wreck-It Ralph character in like one of the arcades in like
Mhm.
Tomorrowland, but like they really don't acknowledge it as
Oh,
part
that's
of like
right.
the Disney
They
world.
have like a Fix It Felix game.
Yes, yes,
Fix It
exactly.
Felix Junior,
But
which I don't even know if they still have.
I don't know either. It might have just come and gone. But it
Mm.
sucks because it was a really touching cartoon, and you know, damn those movies that just get, I'm like, you don't even have real people in them, and yet I'm crying, you
Right.
know?
There's so many there. I find that animation touches me more than real life
Is
most
it
of the
because it takes
time.
us back to our childhood?
I don't know if it's that, but I feel like you hang on more words because of the fact that it's not a real person
Mhm.
that's in front of you saying it, and I think that you connect more with that. Like
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda 3 will always be my like, oh yeah, I got to do that now because Kung Fu Panda 3 reminds me that if I only do what I can do, I'll never be better than what I am.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, I got to do something different so that way I can be better than what I am.
So if you wanna be a better human, basically,
There's that. There's
just
Cars 3 that
Cars
like
3.
really inspired me. So there's a
Cars
lot.
3.
I'm serious.
Oh,
Cars 3 like
no, but
really got me.
animation really does, reach more of us even as adults.
Mhm.
Shrek was another big one. I love, like, those
Shrek.
I love stories that just have those anti-heroes,
Mhm.
the
The misunderstood
the misunderstood.
anti-heroes.
Yeah, exactly. The "I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way,"
Yes.
you know?
Yes,
Those are
Jessica
the ones
Rabbit.
that yes, those are the ones that I love.
Mm, I like those too. That's good. Let's get into our second question,
Okay.
which is what is a film or a scene from a film that triggers a memory for you? Perhaps it's painful, maybe it's happy.
I thought about this one on my drive over, and I was like, what's a scene in a movie that I can relate to the most? That I'm just like, oh, I felt the hurt, but then I also felt the victory
Mhm.
later. And that is the shopping scene in Pretty Woman.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
And I don't think I related to shopping so much as I related to, I can't tell you how many times in my life that I've gone into something and they look at me and they're like, "Ew, you don't belong here." Or, go
Oh.
to Walmart. Or as they say in
What?
Mean Girls, "Why don't you try Sears?" Uh,
Ah, why don't you?
and that
We only
shopping
sell
scene.
sizes 1, 3, and 5. You
but
should try
that's
Sears.
but that's the way I felt when I was watching the Pretty Woman scene. I was like, "Oh my god, it's so," to quote Romy Michelle, "it's so sad they won't let her shop." But like I feel that way so much in other scenes in my life where it has nothing to do with my shopping habits. It has more to do with just times that I have felt like people looked down at me like I wasn't supposed to be there.
Mm.
Like I did not belong somewhere. And I love when she comes back more than anything, where she's like, "You work on commission, right? Big mistake. Huge. I have to go shopping now." And
Yes.
that's just how I love those little victories when you can be like, "Yeah, remember me when you told me that I wasn't good enough?"
Do you have a specific example you can share with us where you came back and were like, "You work on commission?"
Brienne, it happens so much in my life
That
that
you're like, "I
literally
can't
it
keep count."
blurs, it blurs together. Yeah, I can't keep count.
Hmm.
They're like, she quotes all these different movies.
There's so many great movies.
They really
I was
are.
like, I don't know if I've had a moment of commission like, I don't know if I've had that moment.
I think also for me, it's just I've had so many reincarnations of myself and like different, like I've
Layers.
looked like different people and layers, layers. We're like
Mhm.
onions with
That's
lots of
right.
layers. Um
Specifically, the awesome blossom is
exactly.
what we are. Deep fried layers of onion that are delicious and dipped in butter or some source. Ranch.
I have no idea what they make that out of.
I thought you were gonna say I have
The
no
blooming
idea what the
onions?
awesome
The
blossom is.
blooming onions? No,
Blooming
I
onion
know.
is Outback Steakhouse, but
What's
the
an
awesome blossom is Chili's.
Oh,
Mhm.
Chili's totally ripped that off.
But I don't. Which one came first, the chicken or the egg? Because didn't never knew about Outback Steakhouse till I was older. I only knew Chili's because growing up we didn't have an Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah, I'm so sad
So
for you. That is such a sad
if you're in
story.
the chat, let us know which one came first, the awesome blossom
Yeah,
or the bloomin'
someone
onion.
can someone figure that out. This is going to be a debate that'll haunt us for the ages.
So we have these layers.
We do. I mean, I just but I can't even tell you how many different times that I've gone into it, like gone into different scenarios where they've told me you're not pretty enough or you
Mm.
don't look a certain way. Like I feel like that pretty much defines my entire high school and middle school experience was you're not pretty enough. You don't look conventionally pretty. You don't look certain.
Mm.
And when I'm or one of my favorite ones, and I can't remember one that specifically can remember, is I had this one English teacher that was such. Can we cuss on this show?
I mean,
He was a
you
jerk. I'll
can.
say he was a jerk, but I have way more choice words for him. So, anyways, told me I would never be a good writer. I was a terrible writer. I should never do it for a living.
Mm.
Like, I hope you're good at math, basically, is what he said. And I'm not good at math. So I was like, what am I going to do? I've always thought I was a
Aw.
good writer or I thought I was a good artist and things like that.
Mhm.
And he just totally shot me down. Was a really miserable experience. And then I remember when I got my first writing job out of college with Sports Illustrated. And
You emailed him to say, guess what?
oh, no, no, no. It's far worse than that. I took a print copy and I laid it on his desk when I went home for Christmas one year.
Oh,
And I was
nice.
like, proofread this for me. I'm like, so glad I never listened to all those people that said I couldn't do things or that I wasn't good enough
Right.
because I wouldn't be where I am now.
I feel like for me, that's myself.
We can do that to
Yeah.
ourselves. But um for me, it's more like I hear other people say it and I start to believe it.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
so for me, it's turning around that narrative in myself and telling myself that ultimately it's up to me.
Right.
That's I tell people all the time, I'm like, I get told so often that I'm bad. And I think that I'm not the only person that experiences this, that you hear so often that you're bad that you start to believe it. and in reality, like, you're not bad, you know?
Right. And don't read YouTube comments.
You
That's one
don't.
place to
The internet has
start.
given us this chance to interact with people, and while it has great plus sides like this, where we're able to share our love for film and things that we really enjoy, it also exposes us to people that just come there to spew negative thoughts and negativity all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hate.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But then you think about like where they are. What is their situation? You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I do that and I'm like, they're sitting at home watching
That's your
this.
next idea for a show, Brienne, is YouTube comments therapy.
Yes.
You just find random, hey, excuse me,
They did that like on SNL
are you
once where
kitty
they
are you kitty
confronted
love
people.
789? Let's talk about this. Did you say
Really say this because I have a screenshot.
that'd
Yeah.
be a great show?
But I do remember there was an SNL where they like had the people like the commenters confront or
Jesus.
the YouTube people confront the commenters, and it was pretty
Amazing. Yeah,
hilarious.
I'm sure.
I'm like, gosh, if only we could do that.
I always say, like, I'm like, you can say all this from behind your screen, but you would never say
Hmm.
this to me on the street.
At the same time, like, who says it behind their screen too?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know because I feel like I just wouldn't do that. I don't know.
I would,
I
but the funny thing is I
don't know.
used to be like, you'd never show up and say this to my face. But now, with the way society is, I'm kind of, I don't
I
want
hope you
to.
don't.
I hope you don't show up and say it to my face just because we don't know who we're dealing with anymore. The internet has provided people with so much anonymity that it's a scarier place now. It really is, except for like the toy
Hmm.
reviews and stuff like that on YouTube.
Toy reviews, they can get a little bit weird.
By the
They
way,
can get a little
I
bit
didn't
weird.
realize that this was a thing until yesterday. We took our friend's kid to Universal, which
Hmm.
by the way, bad idea. He's 3. He looks
Oh,
like he's
yeah.
7, but he's 3
Too
because he's
little.
really tall. And the only thing that did not scare him is the dance party room at the end of Minions. Like the Minions ride, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Was it
Um,
though? Like in general, is it terrifying?
for them, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, we started like start we were like, we are such bad babysitters because we
Aw.
would look down at our clock and we'd be like over under on how long it takes him to start crying.
Aw.
Because I mean, the things that you would never consider to be scary, it's just like they're so small and such sensory
Mhm.
overload. But yeah, I found out yesterday the thing that made him the happiest was we would give him our phone and he would start watching some kid playing with toys. I go, "Is this the wave
It's
of the
gotta
future?
be it's
You don't
gotta
even
be
have to buy
Ryan
your
it's gotta
kids."
be Ryan's toy
Yes,
reviews.
no
We'll
one
do
even buys their kids toys anymore. They just watch Ryan play with them
Oh
on
my
the
gosh,
internet.
Ryan is huge and it's
It
ridiculous.
blew my mind. So there. Little
Yeah,
off
I don't
tangent,
need
but it
to
was
buy
hilarious.
these gifts anymore.
No.
Yeah, there's so many YouTube families are very interesting, and I really do firmly believe that if you have over 1 million subscribers, you should get a caseworker because it's just I don't know if you're stable. But
But that said, also yesterday,
mhm.
totally off. Now that we've totally taken this thing off the rails,
Yeah.
we saw Mike Kalinowski
Oh, was
yesterday.
he what was he doing? What was Mike Kalinowski doing?
He was
Norman
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 Bates,
Bates. Okay.
and the tram stopped and he came out. And as he started running towards the train, the tram with a knife, I was like, Mike, 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 Mike. I'm like, he has to hate us so much
Ah.
now.
See, the tram is also a place where kids get scared.
Yes.
Yeah, because you have
We
the
found that
shark.
out.
Yeah, because
The
I
shark, like anytime that like I started warning like his parents that were with us. I was like, all right, there's gonna be dinosaurs coming up here on the left. Not to spoil it
there's
for
like the
you, but like
earthquake
he's
and
gonna lose his mind.
yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah. The King Kong was a heavy
Hmm.
a heavy way to go into it though.
Yeah, with the new effects and stuff. I haven't seen it with the new effects, so I'm sure it's even
I
more
mean, the new
terrifying.
effects is essentially they spray you with water.
Oh,
Spoilers.
okay. Okay. I thought it was more like digital, but
Oh no,
no,
it's very
it's
digital.
still okay.
It's 3D.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since
Oh,
that.
you'll love it.
But I remember going on the last time I went on the tram, I was a camp counselor and I was with the group that was
Lot of tears.
kids that just were just out of kindergarten going into first grade. Like it was summer and there were a few that were very scared and I was like, I feel terrible that I've taken these children on this, not thinking, not knowing. I was a young 20-year-old. I'm like, I
Yeah.
didn't know that this was going to be scary and like
No, not at all.
anyways. Let's get into our last question,
All right.
which is what is a film that helps you through difficult times?
Okay. So this isn't necessarily a film, but I
Okay.
watched it on a DVD. So does that count?
Sure.
I binge watched it. Um, all 3 seasons of it when this happened to me. So I was going through a terrible breakup before I met my now husband, and he like this guy just absolutely decimated me. And
Hmm.
whenever I get super depressed like that, like most people, I just kind of shut down and I binge watch something. And one time during a bad breakup in like college, when a guy broke up with me right after I'd gotten my tonsils out, so I couldn't even argue with him. Brilliant move, by the way. Um, that time I binge watched Star Wars. But this time, for some reason, I binged watched The Walking Dead. And
Oh.
I was actually
Huh.
doing really, really well because I was like, it put everything in perspective for me. I was like, you know what? Things could be a lot worse.
Things always can be a lot worse, especially with zombies.
There could
I've
be a
never
zombie
seen a single
apocalypse.
episode of The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead came out right when my daughter was born, and I just was not in a headspace to actually
No,
like do
I
anything.
highly don't recommend people that are pregnant watching The Handmaid's Tale either. Like it's just
Oh
very
dear.
triggering stuff. But for me, like it just put everything in perspective while I was watching it. And I was like, you know what? I started thinking, I was like, life could be worse. But if this happened, I think I'm totally prepared. Like I'd be one of the ones that survived. And I would never have to put makeup on ever again, which would be amazing.
Right.
Um, but
So the first three
the
seasons,
first
because
three
that was all
seasons,
was that was out.
yeah, that was
Okay.
out. And I binge watched them. But I was doing really, really well until spoilers. I the thing that like put it all in perspective was I just remember they spent the first 2 seasons of The Walking Dead looking for this girl that had gone missing in season 1, and I was so hopeful they were gonna find her. And
Mhm.
then there's a moment in the second season where she walks out of the barn and she's a zombie, and I was like, Jordan broke up with me, and Sophia's dead. Like, and just now
Oh
looking back
man.
on it, it was just so ridiculous that I was just so upset. I was like, I've invested so much time looking for Sophia, and my girlfriends that were watching it with me just burst out laughing because I was such a like legit hot mess. But
Aw.
now looking back on it, I'm just like, oh, all right, we did okay. I was like, we
we
did
got through
okay. We
this.
got through this.
If we got through this, we can get through anything.
But yeah, they're still leaving that little girl,
Are they
right?
really?
Oh, it's a hot mess.
I when we went to visit Jay, he was watching The Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I
I
assumed
took
it was a
Jay.
marathon
Yeah,
in the hospital
I
when Jay
took
watching was in the
Jay
hospital.
his pad.
That's nice. That's
Yeah,
why he was able to talk to us. We got it to the point where
he was texting on
he
the.
could write in notes and then it would like speak it for him.
Oh, cool.
Yes. And then we were
I'm so
talking about
glad
how
he's
we
doing
wanted the
better.
Stephen Hawking voice to be the voice. And then I was like, there is a Stephen Hawking app. We gotta get one.
Absolutely. You know what? It's just I'm so glad that so many people in the movie community and comedy community showed up for
Right.
because I've been out here in Los Angeles and you don't necessarily have a significant other or you don't have a huge support system, like it can be daunting. I mean, the
Hmm.
FOMO, the fear of missing out. The FOMO is bad enough
Yes.
when you're sick and when you're down for the count, or even if you're way on, I don't vacation well, that
Yes.
because you're just sitting there looking at people's Instagram stories and you're
You're
like,
like,
why am I
oh.
here? And they're like, because it's a beautiful beach. And you're like, I don't give a damn. Like, I have to get back to work. Like, that's just the
Right.
way we've been programmed by society. That, like, it was just so nice to see Jay, the community really come together for
Hmm.
him. And I'm so glad that he's doing better because that was
Me
scary.
too.
That was really scary. At first, whenever guys get sick, we always think, God, he's being so dramatic because women, I feel like when we get sick, we got to truck through. Your moms,
Hmm.
we have things to do, we have
Oh my
people to take
gosh.
care
I
of.
remember this time that I had like stomach flu and my mother-in-law walked in and was like, we have to take Waverly to the ER. And I just like, I don't know what happened. but it was like my body went into like some survival mode and was like, all
Yeah.
right. And
But the
like I
minute that
just
but the minute that survival mode wears off and that adrenaline wears
yeah.
off, you feel like garbage. Am I
Oh,
wrong? You're like, "All
yes.
right, I just used up my year's worth of adrenaline and we're
That's
good
right.
now. We're
That's
done."
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter had a infection, and so they had to like give her an IV and stuff. This was when she was 3. I want to
Yeah.
say 3,
But for
but
that for
man,
little kids, that's scary.
that is scary.
Yeah.
Getting an IV is scary
Oh,
for a
yeah.
child. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because 'Cause you're like, "It's a needle that doesn't go away."
Yeah, she's like, "It's in there still? Is it still there? It's
It's
still
still there.
there."
It's still there. Yeah. Um, but, I the film I related to the most out of all of this, and I was thinking because at first when you sent me these questions, I was like, "I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know. I know that I'm constantly touched by movies and film and television, just because I think we do such a good job. I mean, there's also shows on the WWE. I mean, the WW, what WB or whatever it is
WB.
that don't do well. CW,
CW. There we go.
CW,
That's what
whatever.
it used to
No,
be WB.
I love
Used
WWE.
to
Don't
be
get me wrong.
UPN. UPN and WB came together and they created CW. Yeah, I
It's a
remember
hot
this. I
mess.
remember this.
But there's certain shows that I'm just like, that wasn't a great job of storytelling. Because I don't watch movies for effects. I watch movies for characters and people I care about and stories, you know?
Mhm.
And I just think we have so many talented people, that are out there making films, even films that you've never heard of, that have the ability to touch us emotionally the way that they do and impact our lives and lift people up and remind us where we are in society and like what's going on and tell the story. Sometimes when there is no other way to tell the story of what's going on in the crazy
Mhm.
world that we live in.
Right.
So, I mean, this show is so awesome that you have people that can come in and talk about this kind of stuff.
Thank you. I like that we get to talk about it too because I like movies and people and feelings.
Yeah.
Movies and depression brand.
But I will say this, the other film that really lifts me up is Sweet Home Alabama.
Yes, we're
Is
gonna get
Sweet
to
Home
Sweet Home
Alabama.
Alabama in just a second.
Okay, thank God.
We're gonna right before we talk about Sweet Home Alabama. It's
Why?
kind of a segue.
Sorry about that.
If you if you have a problem you want us to give you a movie prescription for, put it in the chat, and we'll do that after we discuss Sweet Home Alabama. I want to give them time
Okay.
so that way there's some
Oh, yeah.
questions and we're not just sitting here like, okay, do you have problems?
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. So Sweet Home
Sweet
Alabama.
Home Alabama
Yes.
is a really good movie for me
It
too,
is.
just because I think it came out when I was in college, and my college experience was not normal. I got discovered in college, and
Mhm.
then my life kind of became like this whirlwind. And so everything, I grew up in a small town in Florida, right outside of Tampa. Uh, but it always felt like a small town because everybody knew everybody's business.
Everybody
Um,
always knows
and
everyone's business.
we all, I mean, I just think now when I go back there, I just see how people have kind of become like trapped. And that was always something that I
Mm.
was scared of. Um, but then when my life kind of blew up, I don't think I was ready for it. I
Yeah.
think I was totally
You
unprepared. I
became
wasn't early.
Melanie
I
Carmichael.
did. I was
Okay.
totally unprepared for the scenarios I was put in, the people I was meeting. I was kind of this like fish out of water, but like I adapted really quickly, or I thought I did.
Mhm.
Um, and then when everything happened in 2010, like I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. I felt like I was just really being used by the industry that I was in.
Mm.
And so like most people do. And there was something oddly comforting about going back home and seeing the people that knew me the best, the people that have known my entire life.
Right.
There's something said that no matter where you go and what you do, you can always go home. You can always
Mhm.
go back to your roots, and it just kind of it still fits, oddly enough. It may not
Right.
fit the life that you're in now, but it fits like your heart. Does that make
Right.
sense?
It does fit your heart.
It does.
Anytime I go home, I always feel like I'm back in high school.
Right? And you like run into those people. It's absurd.
Sometimes I see them. Not as much though. There are times when I'll see people that I know,
Hmm.
but our our area is a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
So
mine wasn't. Mine
yeah.
was very small, and everybody still knows everyone's business.
Hmm, very good. All right, here are some of the problems that people are having that we're going to prescribe
Okay,
a
let's
movie
do
for.
this.
Fishman is hungry. So maybe Babette's Feast? I don't know. Oh, you know what? Julie and Julia. How about that,
Oh,
fish man?
that's not gonna solve this problem, it's going to make it worse.
No, then you decide, you get inspired to make
Um,
things.
what
That's what
was
I think.
what was the movie with that Seth Rogen made with all of
Thinner.
no, with all
Oh.
the food?
With
With
all
all
the food.
the food that came to life.
Oh god, that was an awful film.
Not if you get
But I know,
stoned.
yeah, I that animated film, gosh, I can't
Not if
even
you
think
get
of it. I
stoned.
can't
There were
even
some
think of
really
it.
smart jokes in it. The storyline wasn't awesome, but
Someone
whatever.
help us out because I forget what it's called and I hated it. I hated that movie.
It's because your mom.
It was because I found out my friend died right after I was watching it. And I was
Oh,
like, oh, great.
that'll do it.
So now so Sausage Party I associate with
Sausage Party.
someone's
Yes,
death.
yes,
So
yes.
that's always
It's
nice,
so
right?
weird then that's why when people complain about movie release dates being hard, movie release dates isn't a hard topic. Because if you associate it with events in your life,
Yeah,
whether they be good or bad, you can still put a date on those events.
that's
It's
true.
harder to put a date on random movies in my
That's
head.
very
So
true.
the female brain, the way we're
But
wired, is we do it with
yeah,
events.
yeah, that's true.
Events.
But I don't even know what year that came out. It was
That's
recently.
a tip.
Okay, it says, what do you recommend for the long wait of Greatest Showman leaving theater until it comes out on Blu-ray?
Oh
It's a great
God.
question. Great question. I'm gonna say White Christmas, which is my favorite musical, it should be still on Netflix. It was before, but maybe that was just Christmas and now it's gone. I think that's probably the best musical I've ever seen. Plus, you have
Does it
Bing
have to
Crosby.
be a musical
No,
or
it
can it
doesn't.
just be
It doesn't have.
circusy?
It could be circusy if you'd like.
God, there was a movie that Disney put out when I was a child. I can't even remember it.
Oh,
About a
is it
boy.
something wicked this way comes?
No, it was about a
Mm.
boy who like was in the circus and they would ride horses. Like I mean, it was one of those movies that I made my mom
Oh,
put on
wait,
repeat.
was it
And they would stand up on the
Wild
horses.
Hearts Can't Be
No.
Broken?
No, and they
Oh,
would stand up
darn
on
it.
the horses and they had like chimpanzees that they were friends with. I mean, I don't know. It's a circus movie.
Whoa, I'm gonna have to think about this. If
I'm
you
gonna
think you
figure it out.
know what this is
I could be
called.
combining 7 different Disney movies for all
Okay,
I
so
know,
they
but I don't think
stand
it
up on
is.
horses and there's
I'm gonna
chimpanzees.
look
It's
this
not
up.
water for elephants, though.
No, it's not Waterfalls. No.
I was like, which? First of all, I don't read, and I read Water for Elephants, and I loved the book, and I just didn't really like the
We're
movie
on the movie. Disney, chimpanzee,
in a film.
horse. I can't tell you how many times like my phone is just like, "What are you looking for?" Like
Like, I have no idea.
Toby Tyler.
I have heard of that.
Toby Tyler.
I've never seen it.
Was it Toby Tyler? Well, let's see what the actual Wikipedia is.
Someone says Tony Tyler.
It's Toby Tyler.
Okay.
He runs away to
Thank you,
join the
James.
circus. He's been
Uh-huh.
orphaned by
Okay.
his family.
Great.
Taken distant members of his family after being orphaned, and he runs away to join the circus. It was an yeah, that was like one of my go-tos.
Hmm.
And he becomes friends with a chimp named Mr.
Yes, he does.
Stubbs.
Oh, Mr. Stubbs.
There you go. It's a
Very
great
good.
film. Talks about encourage your
I'm
kids to
gonna
run
see
away
it.
to join the circus.
I'm gonna see it. When did that come out? Did you
Oh
see
my
it? Or
god. Forever ago. 1960. What
whoa.
were my I wasn't
I would
it was old
prefer
even when I was little, you know,
yeah.
but I still like loved it. I don't
I'd
know
prefer
why.
the darker version of Something Wicked This Way Comes. Also a traveling circus.
Okay.
Super creepy. Gosh, I want to say Anthony Perkins, but I don't think that's who the villain is. But Jason Robards is in it. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's like they're it's so creepy. That I can't remember if they're like trying to steal the children for their souls or what, but the
What else do you
circus is
guys
trying to
got?
take their life. Anyways, that's it.
Do you guys
Person.
know any? Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Jen, for joining me today.
Thank you. So glad we make this finally
No,
happen.
I'm glad it happened.
But I actually need an Adderall prescription because this has gone sideways so many times.
Hey, it's all right. Where can everyone find you online?
Online, well, you can obviously find me on the Movie Trivia Showdown. Support the Patreon because we can't do this without you, honestly. Life's getting too expensive. And honestly, they're taking care of the competitors, which is something that up until now hasn't
Happened.
been possible. It hasn't been
Just
and
not possible. Yeah,
it hasn't been possible based on the actual
I can
money
only
that they
eat so
have.
much pizza.
Exactly. Your kids can only eat so much. She's got kids to feed. No, but it's you guys do such a great job competing on the show, and it's time consuming. Like, you of
Mhm.
all people can attest to that, spending all the time that you do, rehearsing, and not even rehearsing is not the word, studying,
Prepping.
prepping. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, it's a great fun show. It's been an amazing journey joining the family, and I'm really excited to see what happens this season. But, support, I know. Hopefully I'll get at the table one day. Make it happen, Christian. I'll be so mad I said that. But it is great, and I really hope that you guys can support us. Um, Also, you can find me on Twitter, on Instagram. My Instagram stories are pretty fire.
Yes.
My
They're
Instagram
great.
stories are like all the times when I'm debating posting something on Instagram and I haven't because I was like, this is an equality post and it's gonna like kick me
Just put
out.
it in
I put it in the
stories.
story and then people are like, your stories are phenomenal.
Yes.
Um,
They are fun.
Sometimes they're cat videos, sometimes they're me just destroying people on the internet that are bothering me. You never know. It's great. It's
You
great.
never know what you're gonna
Yes,
get.
at Jennifer Sterger. You can find me on all that. I'll have some comedy coming up soon, but they'll be on Twitter as well. And Rescue LA. Go ahead and check us out. We do most of our rescue work here in SoCal, but you can find us on the internet and we'll catch you with a rescue in your area.
In your area, check that out. You can find me on Twitter at Ms. Instagrams underscore moves. My Insta stories are not as fire.
They're pretty
Uh,
good. I like them. I
sometimes they're
enjoy
okay.
them. I
I
enjoy
usually
them.
do like one or two photos. I try it. I just can't. My inspiration just gets like, do
I
I need to
honestly
photograph
just
this?
want people to see that we made so many gingerbread houses for your
That's true.
daughter's
That's true.
birthday.
But what I did learn from an Instagram guru, if you will, someone with like a million
Mhm.
people that have followed him within 1 year, was that he was like, you got to keep your page on brand, but your stories is where everyone's going to fall in love with you. And that's where you put your personal stuff. I was like, interesting. Good tip. Good tip.
Stay on brand, guys. I don't know what your brand is, but stay on brand.
That's right.
God,
All right,
I'm so
ladies and
glad I
gentlemen,
didn't see my hair this entire time.
thank
It's
you
so
for
hot.
joining us. We will see you next time. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.